want to welcome my good friend, actually, who lives locally here, Marlyna Los, who is an internationally renowned Feng Shui and Chinese metaphysics expert. She's also an author, consultant, speaker, and educator. She actually has a really fun Feng Shui for fertility course on healthy seminars. Marlyna's Feng Shui credentials go way back to the early 90s. She's a lifelong learner. That's why I think we connect so well. And she's also traveled the world. Yeah, I don't like to travel the world, so maybe that's why we're not exactly the same, Marlyna, but we learn from
I
each other.
had to find the teachers.
That's right. And those you did find. You've studied with 8 different Chinese masters and grandmasters of Feng Shui, including Joey Yap. You've been honored with the title of Master in 2006, and you've been honored 3 times with the distinction in Feng Shui and Advanced BaZi studies with Mastery Academy. And I want to let you guys know that Marlyna formally founded the East-West Academy in 2005. It's a school consciously dedicated to the higher purpose, empowerment, and support of people to live better lives. Your classes combine the classical teachings of Feng Shui and Chinese metaphysics, along with psychology and ancient spiritual and esoteric wisdom. And she does, as I mentioned, live in Vancouver, Canada, BC, where we often get to break bread together. And your book, which you published way back in June of 2012, is called Feng Shui, Do You See What I See? And I just want to share that Marlyna really has a passion to inspire, encourage, and teach others what she knows towards building your dreams, finding happiness and fulfillment in life. And we, full transparency, you and I met at a conscious workshop, the work of Gila Golub, way back when we did a lot of breath work together, sat with each other. And I know also that you're a dedicated student of the Course in Miracles. So Marlyna, welcome to the Conscious Fertility Podcast.
I'm so grateful to be here and happy to be here. Thank you.
So I think we have to define a few things.
hmm
First of all, I said BaZi, that destiny chart idea. I said Feng Shui and Chinese metaphysics. Can you kind of give us a sense of what is Feng Shui? And can you give it, how do I put this? I think some people are like, oh, this is silly. This is nonsense. This is a silly astrology. But I believe there is some science behind this. And I think people intuitively know they have experiences when they walk into a space, how they feel or affected by it. So for the skeptics out there, can you just share a little bit about what is Feng Shui and why maybe we should care about it?
Yeah, I love that question because there's so much misinformation out there, even amongst the Chinese race, too. Because with the Cultural Revolution, feng shui was made illegal. And I think that's because anytime we get into metaphysics and intuition to a degree is involved, as well as, say, science and formula, snake oil salesmen kind of pop up. I have the answer for you. And they didn't study more. So that actually was part of the reason why I studied with 8 different masters, because I certainly started off in North America with the basic intention, almost based energy, thought of feng shui. Anyways, classical feng shui, which let's term classical feng shui as the original feng shui, because I think there's a lot of modalities out there that don't use a compass and don't use astrology. But what the ancients noticed is that there were patterns to how energy moved. And they also noticed that people have a subconscious vibration, which we know through law of attraction pulls in what's the same. Well, here's the curious thing. We pull in houses that reflect our subconscious. We pull in people that reflect our subconscious beliefs. And so they see the real book. They first of all, feng shui is the study of energy in relationship to man.
And that's also an important thing to share because in Chinese medicine, always this concept of you got man's in the middle, human
Yes.
beings.
Yeah.
So you got the
Heaven, earth, and man.
heaven,
Yes.
earth, and man's in the middle, and we're impacted by both.
Absolutely. And actually, currently, and so they learned how to measure time with that because trigrams, which you're talking about, heaven, earth, and man, the hexagrams, the I Ching, right, is what that's based on. And so what they came to decide is 33% of our destiny comes from heaven, which is the time. With our first breath, we are imbued with the energy of the universe at that moment. And our souls choose it. That's the difference. It's not random. It's kind of like there's a reason we're in this incarnation. And we can't change that blueprint, but we can work with it. So to me, I look at that like studying genetics.
Mm.
If you're going to study, we study horses and dogs and genetics all the time to say, oh, that's a better breed. And yet we don't do it with humans. Well, not in the same way, right? We apply different types of things. We do, oh, you're prone to this illness or you're prone to that illness. But it is possible to read the blueprint of time and sort of say, oh, you're going to be tall or you're going to be short and you're going to be outspoken and you're a rule breaker, or, those types of things. So 33% is the person, destiny, what you do. And I love that that's included in that, because regardless of what you were born with, you can improve your life with the right actions. And then 33%, I know you want to say something, is feng shui, because your land, take now the seed that you are, put it in a windy, dry garden. It's not going to grow. Now, that windy, dry garden might be toxic parents, right? So that's what I'm just saying. So I'm not saying good or bad, they're just different. So if we study energy, we can align with energy that matches what we want instead of just waiting for the right thing to come up.
So you mentioned you got this blueprint and you compared it to genetics. So we're not our genes, we're what our genes express. And we now know epigenetics, what turn on and off genes, your environment, so your physical environment and your thoughts and emotions impact what genes get turned on and off for health,
Absolutely.
longevity, creativity, and fertility. So you're saying the same thing,
I am saying the same
you
thing.
got your blueprint, you're born at this time. So this is kind of what you're predisposed to, but you can work with the energies and you can do things, take actions to get the most out of your blueprint.
Absolutely. And so by studying these patterns of energy, because they're patterns of energy, like it sounds trite to say this is the year of the dragon, but that's actually a pattern of energy with wood and earth this year. And how that interacts with your blueprint, I can potentially say there's a gateway opening that is good for fertility. Or like this is the time. And so since the beginning of time, astrology, BaZi, so BaZi means 8 houses. So there's 4 pillars, 8 houses, and meaning this is wood dragon year, that's 2 houses. This month is water monkey, that's 2 houses. And so that's literally the translation.
So I kind of want to talk about health, wellness, and fertility as it relates to feng shui and Chinese metaphysics. Many patients come in, I wouldn't say many, but it's over my 20 plus years of practice. There are people that have come in saying they want to be pregnant at this time because of what year it is, right? They want their kid to be a dragon or they want their kid to be a monkey or not be this animal.
Absolutely.
So I want to talk a little bit about that. And I just want to clarify because you said it's Year of the Dragon. We're recording this of September of 2024. So anything we talk about, it may
Hmm.
not be relevant
Yes.
when people are listening to this at a different date. So, because I want to talk about like so many people are struggling in the world. There's this shift in the world. People are coming in with a lot of mental health issues. And we know when there's dis-ease, we get digestive issues, it weakens our immune system, we start to develop aches and pains, headaches, fatigue, low energy, sleep stuff, all kinds of things get exasperated. And I think you share in a lot of the teachings you do in working with charts how to find that ease again, that flow. And so I want to go down that path and then get into fertility if people are looking to add this to their fertility journey, and then those are just having fun, want to play with this. I kind of want to, that's the path I would like to take with you today, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great.
So
Well, the Western thinking that we've been kind of trained into is that we can do anything we want if we're doing the right thing. So there's a lot of marketing out there with I've got the answer for you. And if you're not successful, it's your fault. Whereas the ancient thinking was there's a time for growth and there's a time for rest. And part of that is just as simple as the seasons, right? Summer and winter. But we've really lost touch with that. Like women do no longer rest when they have their heavy days of their period. It's like go, 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 right? Like we're just pushing all the time. Very, very yang society. So when we're yang all the time, there's no time for the yin to come in. And so we're out of balance. But the other is we're in a period of time right now in a greater thing of 20 years called the period of fire. It's a 9-year period. It started this year. And most people have been watching on the internet things talking about there's an awakening happening or consciousness is changing or the 5G or G, I get them confused. You know, we're ascending. What does that mean? Well, in order for society to grow, because I actually think life, the process of life that's inside of all of us, call it God, call it whatever, consciousness, is literally that. It's always growing and changing. And the period that we're in right now is trying to illuminate with the fire where we're stuck. In order to see where we're stuck, we have to challenge our beliefs. And the beliefs are buried in our subconscious, which could be epigenetics, it could be all types of things, right? And so what's happening is there's a lot of dysregulation because people don't know, pardon my French, what the f is going on.
right.
Like they're rattled. And so, whereas the ancient Chinese knew that there were cycles where you were meant to look inside and maybe make course corrections, and we're forgotten to look at the greater whole. All energy is connected. So, if all energy is connected, people have to take responsibility for their energy that they bring to the room. And that's hard for a lot of people because it's like, well, what about I don't feel like it? I feel sad. I don't, whatever. It's all about me,
And so what's your answer to that when somebody says that?
Oh gosh. Okay, so that the world isn't working. I'll get them to agree that the world isn't working the way it is, right? And there's a lot of evidence that the world isn't working. And I think most people understand that they have to be the change. Like, and so at some point, but I don't think they get to that till they're after 40, honestly. I think before 40, everybody thinks something out there will fix me. But after 40, you start recognizing patterns that have repeated in your life where you're not supported, fears, different things come up, and we start looking at them differently. That I would say that's where we're at.
And so it's you're sharing that we both agree on this. It's inner work. Like this is it's a
Yes.
time to go
Yes.
inside. And so the energy you talked about, we're in another is it a fire season, fire year you call it?
Well, it's a 20-year fire period happening with the trigrams of and so interesting. You mentioned the trigram of heaven, earth, and man. Heaven, man, and earth. The trigram for fire is a yang line on top with a yin line in the middle with a yang line on the bottom. Man is in the middle. Yin, this 20-year period, mankind has to choose higher consciousness or lower consciousness. That's
And I
happening.
would say materialism versus
Yes.
quantum
Yes.
physics,
Yes.
fear versus love,
Well,
excitement
yeah,
versus
exactly,
connected.
exactly, and the irony is, if you're coming from fear, there's never enough money. So, right?
But you
Whereas if you
talked about
come from open heart, there will be abundance, there'll
but
be love, there'll be opportunities.
opportunities is the key, and then you're able to
Yeah.
act on those opportunities. But you
Yes.
talked about that connectedness, and just to put it in a grounded way, how we're connected. Like, all the things because of social media, when there's a war somewhere, we're all affected. Like, there's wars around the world, but wherever you are, even if there's no war in your city, we are at war. Like, people are on the streets and they're protesting and fighting social media. So you can see that.
Anytime there's resistance, we're at war.
Right.
So that's what we're illuminating now is it's not just fighting on the streets. It's resisting the drive to work. It's resisting the relationship in front of you that you need to work on. Like that type of where are you at war with your life?
And it's inner work, or it's, as you said,
Yes.
after 40, you realize that you have these patterns, which we're very aware of, these subconscious programs or patterns. So they keep showing up in your life. And to, again, the grounded way to put this is, I mean, there's people listening to this that if I just make this much money, I'll be happy. Well, they made that much money more and then eventually went back to the same not happy. This relationship isn't working. So they're in a different relationship.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
exciting.
Yes.
Now they're back to that same level of
Yes.
unhappiness, or they
Yes.
move
Yes.
cities,
Yes.
or if this
Oh,
government's in power,
if
now it is in
this,
power.
then that.
And so, like you say, after 40, you start to see the pattern that one thing that's in common is me. you know,
Yes.
Marlon, when we
Yes.
were doing the work together at Gila Golub's work, that was my biggest relief aha moment when I realized this is all inner work. Because at that time, I was like, if this person would change, then I could be happy. If the government was this way, then I'd be happy. If the economy was this way, I'd be happy. If all these things, then I could be happy. And then I realized that everything is an external reflection of the inside, and it's the inside that shifts, and then your perception to the outside changes, or miracles happen, the outside changes. And I was like, that is so much easier to just work on me versus trying to work on everybody else and everything
Yes.
else. So
Yeah.
when I hear inner work, I'm like, yes, that is
Yes.
manageable.
Well, and happiness is already there. We're removing the blocks. And
So
so for me, that's been a really personal journey because I thought for the longest time I was okay. But I'm adopted and I hadn't really done a lot of inner work on that. And at some point, I started questioning why do I keep on choosing unavailable men emotionally? Well, if I don't know what available feels like, I can't choose it. I only knew abandonment, right, as a deep core belief. So if I don't bring that up and look at that differently, I will keep on manifesting in my life things that reflect it. And so this takes me quickly into feng shui. In feng shui, we use a compass and we use formula. So I learned because I was just curious how, with a compass, to take a measurement of a house, put it over the floor plan, and sort of do this formula. And I could kind of look and go, ah, they have trouble with money. Oh, they have trouble with relationships. Now, feng shui often is the focus, how do we fix it? But to me, fixing it isn't just the only thing. I need to help them see where they're contributing to that belief. So it's a twofold thing.
So you get into where what programs they have laid
Yes.
down over the
Yes.
years. I'll share with the group that you do consulting for some major developers in Vancouver. I've met some of them because some of them are into the wellness and health
Mhm.
field in the provincial level. And it just reminded me. Do you remember when I moved my clinic back in 2018? We were hanging out and you said, "Oh, can I see it?" Because we were building it out, right? And I was like hesitant. I was like, and so just so you guys know, being hesitant, it was that frugal part of me. My past as a CPA. I was like, oh no, if Marlyna comes to my space, she's going to tell me where the energy is good or bad, and I don't want to move walls. And I said to you, I don't even remember this. I like, okay, Marlyna, I'm going to show you my space. I'm
So
I'm very influenced by the do not say a word.
and you
So you
said, don't
came in.
tell me anything bad.
Don't
I
tell me
know.
anything bad. I don't want to hear it. And you came in, you were kind, you liked it, and then there was a bathroom in the door, and you couldn't help yourself. You're just like, okay, you got to move the bathroom. Do you remember, like
Door.
the
The
door?
bathroom door.
And
Yes.
just so you know, everybody, I did move the bathroom door, but just for fun, do you even remember what was the issue with the bathroom door at the entrance? What did that tell you from the feng shui perspective? And we moved the door, so it
Well,
wasn't.
we redirected the energy so it didn't open right into the foyer, right? Which even at the time, I think you said, "Oh, that's common sense,"
Yeah.
right? Because it looks better the way it is. But the foyer is where people gather. You put a bathroom door opening right into that. You have a mixture of energies, and bathrooms are drains. So, do you want the foyer to have yang energy or do you want it to have yin energy, right? Bathrooms are more yin. And literally also for privacy and, all those types of things. Some of them are just like I like to say I'm a feng shui consultant that if we do feng shui, you don't see it. It just feels good, right?
Right, those
And I did tell you another one that the office you chose was the best. I gave you the location for your office there too. That was the best energy because the manager needs to have a better energy than anybody else because if you're not doing well, nobody's going to do well.
And I got to share the number of our office, which I think is fun. It's 888 West 8th Avenue. So some people really like eights. So they come to our office for especially any health, but the fertility, people come and I've asked like, so what brings you to AccuBalance? To go, your address. It's 888 West 8th Avenue.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Well, so it's funny, right? Like people have these built-in kind of superstitions where they kind of know energy has energy, but if we're coming from a level of fear, which many people are, we don't know how to work with it, right? Because we're always thinking, "Oh, I'm going to get it wrong" or something like that. And so, anyway, my whole goal is to just let's get some insight to what your strengths are. Let's use your feng shui to support you to do better. And how's timing going to affect you?
People are like, oh, come on, can we feel difference? I mean, some people are more sensitive to others. So some people really can notice this, right? And then some people not so much, right? Entering a space. But some things are obvious or we're aware of, like the seasons, right? Some people do really well in the summer and do not will do well in the winter. Our plants grow in the summer, not in the winter, right? And
That's
for those,
correct.
just notice the seasons, how people feel if it's a rainy, cloudy day or sunny, and everybody's individual. Some people love the cloud and rain and some people do not. But the thing
Right,
is,
right.
that's your environment impacting how you feel. Just to give you an
And
example of that, you
yeah,
experience the energies all the time, to just give some obvious ones. And you talked about the yin of rest and yang, 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 our society's go, go, go. We know what health issues happen and insanity can happen if you don't let somebody sleep for 4 nights in a row. All yang is not good for your health, right? You need that
oh,
downtime.
and depression,
Right.
opposite, sleeping all the time, don't get anything done, get stuck, right? And so the same tools that you use to describe energy with 5 elements are the same ones that I use, right? There's wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, and there's yin and yang. And together they create a blueprint of energy. And the animals got included into that, but the animals just represent the 5 elements. So in astrology, like so this year being wood and earth with the dragon, that impacts every single person's chart differently, just like the seasons, right? And so when we understand that, it might be for someone money. They just so some people like water, but water which is winter, But mostly people who like winter are people born in summer because their charts are what we call hotter. So it balances. But if you're born in winter, you're likely a deeper thinker, a little bit more prone to depression, or, melancholy, those types of things. Can we use modalities to fix that? Yes, with feng shui, with Chinese medicine, with food, and that's what I actually love about Chinese metaphysics. There's so many remedies,
Mhm.
so to speak, right? But I just want to say with fertility, too, that in the West, we kind of think if everybody can always have everything, and the Chinese see sometimes we need the right timing for things to happen and maybe to look at the bigger picture of what's happening. Or because the fertility clients that I've helped in the past with in vitro, particularly in dates, you're very, very right that we use dates and things like that. Then we use dates and timing as to the season when the baby element is stronger. So it's not like 100% science, but it is like a greater chance of things working when you plant the seed, so called, at the right time.
Well, we're going to talk about tips for feng shui for fertility, and I got another question for that before that though, and also I just when we've had you on healthy seminars, you often direct people to fill out a BaZi chart, like kind of like their destiny chart.
Yeah,
Can we let
I've
is that on your website?
on my website, there's what's called a BaZi calculator. So that actually will tell you your Chinese astrology chart. And if you don't know the hour, fine. But if you know the hour, it'll give you all four pillars: year, month, day, and hour. And it'll give you a percentage of elements. So I've been teaching since working with you. A lot of TCM practitioners and acupuncturists have been studying with me
Mhm.
so that they can look at charts and I'll help people with that extra addition of energy information, which I think is so cool because traditionally this was a part of TCM.
Absolutely, it's brilliant that medicine, how deep it is.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about just in our society, people are feeling disease, a lot of unease, depression, anxiety, not feeling motivated, and then physical ailments coming up as well. In working with you and knowing you, I've heard you say, or what do you mean by awareness is the key to change and healing?
Okay. So one of the first good astrologers who looked at my chart said to me, "How come you've never met your father?" And I'm like, "How can you?" And I never did meet my birth father. By the time I was old enough to start looking, he died. So it's like, how can you see that? And she said, "Oh, your chart just shows that your father's not there. So either he was there and not present in your life or, whatever." So she said, suffering occurs when you're not in alignment with what's there. So it's like I'm a banana. I don't want to be a banana or whatnot. That actually changed my frame of reference. Now she said, here's the thing. You can let that bring your consciousness down to a poor me level, or you can look at that from a higher level. What's that teaching you? What gifts did that give you? Because from the consciousness work that we do, Little Soul and the Sun, and that our friendly souls are the ones that teach us the hardest lessons. So that's a complete reframe, isn't it?
And I'll give you a new word I like. So I never use the word gift anymore. I use the word opportunity because
Yes.
some of those situations you would never wish upon anybody. They don't feel like gifts. So I don't like to use the word gift. Because
Right.
like when I fell off the dock
It's
and
not a
broke my
present.
when I broke
Yes.
my ribs, I was like, somebody said it's like a gift. And I'm like, can I regift it? I'd like to give it back to you. I saw an opportunity there for growth and presence, but I wouldn't call it a gift. So but I
I
use the
know,
word
I agree it
opportunity.
is an opportunity, but, Gila too will say, "Can you be grateful?" You know, like
I
when it comes up again.
I was grateful because when I just on a tangent, when I laid there with my three broken ribs, I was aware I was in such intense pain, which gave me an opportunity to be present with it. But I was also
Yes.
aware I wasn't suffering. I wasn't like, why did this happen? How did this happen? What's going to like all the things. Like I was just aware that there was some underlying peace with the pain. And I was so grateful I didn't hit my spine or my head. It was my ribs because I think it would have ended me. So while I laid there, waiting for the ambulance, I was thinking how lucky I am that I think I only punctured my lung. I didn't in the end, by the way. So yes, but again, when somebody said, "Oh, it was a gift," because we were talking about it later,
Mhm, mhm.
I shared that I don't like the word gift. I call it was an opportunity. So these challenges, when you have, a miscarriage, when you have an unsuccessful IVF, when you have a divorce, when you have a financial disaster, suffering can lead to awakening. We hear this a lot.
Oh, totally.
But
So
I don't call them gifts, I call them opportunities.
okay,
And
and I appreciate that. I use the word God, but you can use other words, because it's not the Tao would be equal, just an easy word. I feel that our higher consciousness has a purpose for all of us, but we get off track thinking I need millions of dollars first. I need so many children. I need to do, whatever. But sometimes maybe the purpose is to take us to teaching others or to bringing our gifts or elsewhere, right? I don't know, And now here's the thing: we do have free will. So by analyzing, say, in a chart that it's difficult to get pregnant or it's not an easy thing to have happen, well, then you go get help,
Right.
right? You start getting fertility treatments. You start looking at, or I can also look at a chart and say, what needs to be healed with your mother? Or did your mom have a miscarriage? Like, it's literally possible to sort of look in there and get everything is connected. So somewhere in the genealogy, there's something, right? Which is not, so I'm not sure what needs to be so-called healed in order for channels to be opened. And, there's a saying, when you change your space, you change your life, or change your life, change your space. It's the same thing. You start on this work, you start opening up energy portals. You don't know where it'll go, but it does lead to higher consciousness eventually.
And this is why, we have the Conscious Fertility podcast. And in my practice, I do conscious work to share with, how you said, like your relationship with your mother, or have you had a miscarriage? In some of the work I've done with the women, and when we regress, when we go back to earlier times. So actually, I'm going to say this a different way. First of all, we all want to be happy. And as you shared, it's our innate nature of peace and joy, this happiness. But our thoughts and our desires get in the way, and there's not get in the way as in we think the external is going to make us happy, but we're very aware. It's written down, and then people who have lived beyond 40 start to realize the external environment only can give you temporary pleasure, but it doesn't give you this baseline happiness. Inner work does, conscious work does. So in the conscious work, aware everybody wants to be happy. So if I have a baby, I'll be happy. When we've done the work, some of the programs that have come up for them, some don't actually want a child. They're doing it for their spouse or their in-laws. Culturally, they have to have children. They're afraid of having a miscarriage because their mother had a terrible miscarriage, or their mother had a terrible birth, or they had a terrible birth. So or their father was abusive, or, so they find these unconscious programs that they never knew were related to the fear and the block they have now. And they just know they get the aha moment. They get the aha moment because the stories look very different, but the feeling is the same. And that's how
Absolutely.
they connect it. So this conscious work is so important, as you've been sharing with us. So thank you with that. People always like to know tips and stuff. So do you have tips for anyone that they can do to support themselves with Feng Shui and BaZi on their health and fertility journey?
Yeah. Well, Batsu's a bit, you'd almost have to get a reading with me to do the Batsu, because but what I encourage you
Well,
to do.
let me suggest then for that part, for the BaZi, the destiny chart, Marlyna's website, fill it out and get that info. Check out our website because she does
Yeah.
readings. What
Yeah.
about just other tips for Feng
Yeah,
Shui?
absolutely. But even within that, there's four element seasons: wood, fire, earth, metal, spring, summer, autumn. Sort of just contemplate, what times of year are you happiest? Right? What time of, and just sort of start becoming aware of you, like how time affects you. That's one thing. But at home, we all know clutter blocks energy from flowing, right? And so, and quantum physics, no two things can occupy the same space at the same time. The other is, what you see influences how you think. So I think my whole house is a vision board. I think what you see should bring you joy. But often we buy things and we actually aren't connected to them. There's so many things that we own that we're actually not connected to. So I would say, you want to change the energy of your home, start doing an inventory. Do you love what's there? And are you hanging on to memories for the just in case? Like, do a major clutter clear. But before you start, what's your intention? What new energy do you want to bring in? Because energy's sticky. If you don't do an intention, old energy will just come back. Your bedroom is the area that supports health and relationships, and your front door is the area that supports new energy coming in. Now, if you enter into the house every day from your garage, say, you're bringing work. The garages are associated with the workspace. So every day, and this is okay, but it's a very middle class thing, isn't it? Whereas wealthier people, their garages are detached. They're separate. They have a green space between putting a fumey car in the house. And so anyway, just start becoming aware, because in order to change things, you have to become aware. I always ask people, how's your life? because your house reflects your subconscious life. And then the next step is start cleaning it up. If you're in a shitty relationship, you got to clean it up. If your health is not good, you got to clean it up. Well, guess what? Our houses are the same. And so it's just like start looking at, are you hoarding? Okay, if you're hoarding, you're not allowing new energy to come in. Now, I'm going to also tell how old is your pillows? You know, right? Like the energy that you sleep in, energy is sticky. It's like, do you put it like my mother, a European mother, would put the bedding in the spring out in the deck and the mattress would get 24 20 hours of sunshine on it type thing. We don't clean and bring new energy in the house. Now past that, you need compass directions and formula and kind of layout, and it gets more complicated. But everybody can start making an intention, I want new energy in my life. And okay, now do an action step. What action step can you do that'll bring new energy into your life? We know exercise will do it too, but you clean your house, you're going to find you want to do more exercise. Like it's all interconnected. But usually when we start making changes, I want to say this. I had a client years ago call me and she said, Marlyna, I've been crying all day. I'm cleaning my bedroom. And I said to her, good, you need to cry. There's a lot, you have a lot to grieve. It opened that up for her. So then it actually gave her permission. And I said, yeah, and it's showing you where you need to make changes. So sometimes when we do things, see, when we get out of familiar, which is what keeps us stuck, we get into the issues that we need to look at.
And that's where we bring in the awareness, because when you look
Yes.
at them, you
Yes.
see where you are stuck. You can
Yes.
consciously choose to bring in new energy.
And awareness is light, right? Just by looking at it, we are shedding our light on it. And light, fire transforms everything.
So I got to share this with you because I don't think I've ever said this to you, but
Uh,
you just said it. So I'm going to say it another way. So in my practice, we do conscious work. I like to do the conscious work in my clinic with the Acu and laser. And one of the things that I like to share is there's that Buddhist saying that light transforms darkness. In this case, the darkness are the fear or these uncomfortable feelings or these programs, subconscious programs that don't serve you. That's the darkness. And the light is awareness. And so when they say light transforms darkness, all it requires is bringing awareness to it. There is a practice to it. There's a skill set to do that. So that's what I like to teach. But it's awareness that heals. And that's what you share in a lot of your teachings and Course in Miracles, I believe, as well, is awareness. So we're starting to realize how being awake, being aware, can transform that. And our local guy here, Eckhart Tolle, who wrote The Power of Now and New Earth, he always says when you're present, so when you're aware, you don't suffer. It's only when you're thinking about the past, regretting the past, or fearing the future do you suffer. But when you're fully present, you don't suffer, meaning you can be at peace in an unhappy situation. So you can still mentally know
yeah.
you don't want it or like it, but you're not triggered and you're not going into that reptilian brain where you're suffering. You can be at
Oh,
peace in
absolutely.
an unhappy
Yes.
situation. And
Yeah. A
that's what
tree doesn't go,
work.
oh, it's winter. I'm dying.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
it's a period. So the ancients
They say it's
recognized.
winter and I'm going to go to Hawaii.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Well, exactly. So to my point, the ancients recognized that feng shui and bazi, Chinese astrology, are tools. They are tools that can look at the past, study energy, and then we align ourselves consciously then to be in the right place at the right time. So if it's 33% that gives us extra in life, that's a lot. You still have to do the work, but it supports you to do the work to get into higher levels. And so, yeah, I'm blessed that I get to do this work and teach this work and live it 24/7 pretty much, and to know people like you.
You have to be willing, ready, and able to do the work because you have
Yeah.
had it and myself where people come and say, fix me, do this. And I share that. I mean, I got my tools, as in needles and herbs and lasers, and then my conscious are tools as well. But if they're like, no, you got a hocus pocus, then they're not willing, ready, and able because it's they do the work. We just provide the tools.
Yes, I know lots of people come and say, "Can you help my kid?" Well, if they're young, we can maybe fix the bedroom up or something, right? But they're older, they want to study astrology so they can fix their kid. And I go, mind your own business.
But
You-
when you heal, it's amazing. They
yeah.
heal. Like that's the beauty
Yes.
of all inner work again. Because that goes back to, oh, I got to fix my kid. Of course you want your kid to be okay. When your child suffers, it hurts as a parent. I know that. I get that. Just it's worth repeating that when you heal, it's like that when you talked about everything's connected, your child's feeling that, not feeling conditional love. They're feeling conditional love, not unconditional love on an energetic level. And I do get it on a metaphysical level. When you heal, your children shift. And I've seen this in so
Yes.
many of the people I've worked with that have children. When they do their work, what brought them to me is their children. Then we share that when you heal, your ancestors heal and your whole family constellation heals. And then we
Yes.
work with their stuff. And
Yes.
then they're like,
Yes.
my kid now sleeps by themselves, or my kid's no longer bedwetting, or my kid's off
Yes.
drugs. Like, how's that work? Because we're all connected.
Yes. Because the quantum field changed.
Yeah, you change the quantum field. And so for those
Yes.
that are listening to this, there's the materialistic Newtonian world. So your five senses. And then if you listen to some of the other episodes I have on my podcast with quantum physicists and PhDs, they share that there's something beyond the five senses and there's a quantum field. And that we keep thinking that it's matter that emits consciousness, but it's conscious that creates the matter. And so we're getting to the root cause now. We're going to work on that energetic level and the physical level too. You're physical beings, you're here. However, we've only been focusing on the physical. And I think for those over 40 have realized that doesn't work. It's temporary. But when you start to work on that other level, the conscious, the spiritual, you call it God energy, man, do you see miracles? And do you find that sense of peace and joy, regardless of what's going on outside?
Maybe joy is too big a word. You find that acceptance, which there's peace in, right? Like we don't just always jump to joy, but
No,
we are okay.
but profound
We
peace.
reach a place, yeah, there is this peace where everything is okay. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Marlyna, how do they find you? Are you on social media? Are you on Instagram, Facebook?
Yes, I am on social media. So marlynaconsulting.com
Okay, so
is
there's
my
your website.
website. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll put in the show notes your Instagram and Facebook links then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I invite our listeners to go to marlynaconsulting.com, go to her calendar of events because she does classes and she does readings. But the BaZi chart, if you want to have that, you can fill that out there, your
Yep.
information,
Yeah.
and you'll get a chart. And then you can talk, you can choose if you want to have a
Well,
reading.
and Lauren, I've started a community called Living with Purpose, which is a membership group, and we meet once a month live. But I have a private Facebook group with that, where we actually it's for people. Well, it's for anybody, And I talk about the monthly astrology and the monthly highlights and all that. And some people just want that, but I also talk about the bigger picture and the collective of what's happening, and we bring in personal growth tools each month to work on and whatnot. And so I would say sign up for my newsletter or send me an email and I'm happy to I answer my own emails and requests from the website because I'm here. See, if you do well, if all energy is connected, then I'll do well.
Mhm. That's
Right.
right.
And we're all connected. And so, yeah, let's just make the world a better place
Let's make the
together.
world a better place by making your inner world a better place. All right.
Exactly. And supporting each other. This is not the course says when two or more are gathered for the purpose of higher consciousness, right? There's an energy to that. We're not meant to be solitary alone people. We're meant to support one another.
All right,
You're welcome.
that was Marlyna Los. Also, if you're a practitioner on healthy seminars, Marlyna has a course on Feng Shui related to fertility, so it's approved for continuing education credits. And in the community library, we have lots of talks from Marlyna because she offers quarterly a prediction of what's happening in the universe, in the environment, and how to use your energies to work with the universal energies. So check out the community library and the community lectures because that's an ongoing thing that Marlyna offers.
I like to use the word probabilities rather than prediction,
Probabilities. All right. So
right?
it's a
I
hustle
I
today.
just look at probabilities. Is it going to rain? You need an umbrella, but we don't know for sure.
Perfect. So I like that. So we'll change rather than gifts, opportunity, and rather than predictions, probabilities of what could be unfolding, and so how to work with the
Yes.
energies.
Yes.
So, and if you don't like the probabilities, you can maybe shift the energy so that probability does not
Yes. Yes.
become
So it's
fulfilled.
shifting fate into tool, right? That you can work with to change. It's not doomed.
Right.
We all can change our destiny.
We all can change our destiny. So those are on healthy seminars for my colleagues that she offers those quarterly. And then she does have a on-demand course as well. Do check, and that's on healthyseminars.com for my colleagues. And then Marlyna's personal website is
MarlynaConsulting.com.
marlynaconsulting.com.
Yeah, sign up for my newsletter. Then you'll get monthly insights as to what's going on.
Thank you.
Thanks.